Hello, welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller, where we are giving the future.
We're going to talk about Neptune and the higher self.
The conjunction of Neptune and the higher self. So, the alignment of planets with Neptune and how it relates to our reconnection with the higher self. So, again, we're going to do a PowerPoint and we're going to present this in its original language that Kent received while he was in meditation, channeling from our guides and mentors, the ancients who were ancient mentors of the Creator. So we're going to get right into it. And here we go.
Okay, the conjunction of Neptune, the higher self, integration with the higher self. We received this in 2017. The question was, does this period of time allow the integration with the higher self to happen because of planetary alignments?
The answer was yes. The conjunction of Neptune will release the energy within the system. So this solar system.
So what other planets is Neptune conjuncting with?
And the answer was conjunctional arrived, Neptune not engaged. Asperian delivery of correction.
You would like to explain that now?
Yes. These spiritual guides, for us at least, they give us a language that's a little challenging. They use our Greek and Latin root words and they make new words out of them that we don't necessarily find in our dictionary. And I noticed that some years ago when we began, because I had an English class of Greek and Latin root words. And I noticed that, okay, these aren't in the dictionary, but I can understand what this means because I can recognize the root word. And so that's how it all began. And I think that was part of why they decided to challenge us. So the conjunction is two or more planetary alignments sitting on the same celestial longitude. So like one on top of the other, lined up like that. And then they said it's Asperian means rough. Asper is rough. So a rough delivery of this correction. So it's an incomplete alignment. There needed to be some fine tuning that had to take place. And so Neptune was not engaged, meaning that it was not involved yet. Its energy was not being activated until these fine tunings happened.
Okay. This is a conjunction of Neptune. What will create the conditions for Neptune to engage? And then is it movement of planetary bodies outside of the conjunction?
So the answer was change in scope, which means the space available. So that was going to change. And the movement of planetary bodies within the conditional void, which would be, as you know, you imagine these planets are rotating, they're moving in space. So as this planet moves, it creates an opening for other planets to pass through that conditional void. It's not always there in that place. And so the second question, is it movement of planetary bodies outside of the conjunction? And the answer was correct. So probably planetary bodies outside of our solar system needed to align.
So Neptune deal with astrology. Astrology says Neptune is the eighth planet within our solar system and orbits around the sun approximately every 165 years, spending about 14 years in each zodiac sign. So a bridge to all things extrasensory, mystical, and subconscious mind who we are.
And who we are.
And
So, and I imagine that, and who we are is who we are at the soul level. So that is part of our journey in this lifetime, is to come to completion of this learning cycle and to realize who we are as a soul, which resides in the fourth dimension. And we are studying the first four dimensions in this this learning cycle.
so this connects us with these cycles, but we cannot see or hear it.
Mm-hmm. It connects us to all things that we cannot see or hear. So Neptune,
well, it reminds us that all things in the universe, which we've stated in many videos before this one, that all things are connected somehow within the universe.
Yes. It opens the channels to connect to our intuition, the direct perception of truth without a reasoning process. So it's like, I know this to be true, but I don't know where I'm getting it from. I just know it. And that's the channel that it opens, is that ability to tap into the universal knowledge.
It can also be the source of what we call delusions and dreamlike realities, because many dreams we have is a form of intuition or meditation, and it's come out in the metaphoric sense of a dream.
Mm-hmm. But I think in astrology that it's like your ability to decipher what you're witnessing is paramount, because Neptune has that ability to take you into territory that may not be quite right thinking.
Yeah. So Neptune enhances our physical ability to access knowledge. It's important accessing knowledge and wisdom. Well, Neptune enhances the attributes of all things that are organic. It's
like our bodies.
Things. Yeah. So Neptune is a celestial body of knowledge, accompanying those that understand.
So the way that we translate this is that Neptune holds this celestial knowledge or this universal knowledge, but it has to have our participation in it. If I'm a person who has no interest in my spiritual development per se, it's not going to affect me. It's only going to affect those who are searching for answers, who have a deep desire to search their spiritual path out, that they will be able to access this knowledge. And it Neptune has the ability to enhance our physical bodies and improve them in order to make this happen.
Yeah, and that's it. When you're looking for knowledge, you look for knowledge from the heart, not just for something to do, but you truly desire.
You're driven.
You're driven.
You're driven to know and understand.
And knowledge.
So we were at this time, this was October of 2013, reading the book, The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin. There was some confusion as I was reading this book as far as these planets, Marduk and Nibiru. And at, depending on Zecharia Sitchin's interpretation, I was left wondering if he was talking about two planets or one planet that was called by two different names. And so I asked the question, are the planets Marduk and Nibiru one and the same planet?
And they said, no, not relative. No relationship except the culture pathways of these planets.
So culture pathway has to do with biology of some sort. It could mean, like some sort of higher being, a pathway of higher beings, but it could also mean like biology.
Yeah, where they have attained to this, to the present day. So which is beyond Earth. knowledge right now. So these planets, is one of these planets considered or is a balancer to things around it, such as Earth?
And I have to think that I asked this question because of something our guides had said, or something that was in this book, because this was 11 years ago. So the answer was begins the process for completion, the process of balancing, awakens the inner self through chaos. So they're talking about the higher self here.
So, as chaos continues here on Earth, many of those that were asleep begin to awaken and say, what is going on? Why are we having so much chaos? They begin to finally think or use their thinking process to find out why this is happening. But up to that point, they've been asleep.
So which of the planets begins the process?
And you've heard about Nibiru. It was really in the news for a while, and then it faded away, and now it's kind of coming back. With it is considered a course corrector. It's the orbital path of Nibiru is really long for it to complete the loop.
And I'm not sure if this longitudinal navigation movement is that it is correcting Earth's longitudinal direction, or if Nibiru is coming in on a longitude. But it is supposed to be a very large planet. It probably has a large gravitational field, and it has an impact on surrounding planets, according to what our guides have disclosed to us, so that it has the ability to shift planets in their orbit.
Because of the magnetic pull, it'll shift the orbits of the planets every so many thousands of years.
Yes. And if you haven't watched our previous video, please watch. There's 2 videos on the crossover. So we are, as of October of last year, 2023, we have entered the period of the crossover, which will last 8 to 12 months. And that is this shift of planets in their orbits so that balance can be reinstated, because these orbits tend to drift over time, and we have planets that well, not so much the planets, but say suns that implode. You have comets that disappear. You have a lot of shifting of mass within this conditional void that they talk about of space. And so over billions of years, things have been displaced, and they have to bring order back into that so that the mass can be redistributed to bring balance, so that things are not colliding with each other.
Yeah, more than once they've stated that this is a course corrector. So I begin to think that it is out there, even though we can't nearly see it. It is out there when it's coming towards our solar system.
Now, when we get back to this awakens the inner self through chaos, we have the chaos that is human created right now, and there's plenty of that. But then you add all these Earth changes that will occur as Nibiru approaches from behind the sun. And then you also have the crossover happening, a lot of earthquake, volcanic activity, displacement of the oceans, that sort of thing, just add to the chaos. But the silver lining in all of this is that the turmoil and the chaos helps to awaken the higher self so that it can be brought forward.
So chaos. What is chaos? The shift occurs when man's obsession is with himself. I'm basically looking at the shift of Earth, the orbital plane. So planetary alignment allows the shift to happen.
And the question was, does the chaos and turmoil also help with the reconnection with the higher self? And the answer was
opens the parameters, begins to open the parameters that's needed.
So it's a combination of all these factors. You have to have the chaos and the turmoil, because what happens is that things get so rocky that we start turning back to God. And that is a big part of it. And when we do that, our higher self is our direct connection to the creator. So as we reach out to the creator and say, God, help us, then we ignite this higher self, we turn it on, and we kind of we give it all to God, to so to speak, right? And then that allows the ego to be pushed aside and the higher self to start to take control. And this planetary alignment with Neptune allows this to happen. It opens the parameters for that to happen. And naturally, it's not going to happen for everyone. There's people who are just not ready yet.
So this last February of this year, question was asked, has Neptune already been engaged, and is this dependent on the crossover? She just got through explaining. And go back in our videos to find out what the crossover is meant.
Right. And I can put a link down below. So they're saying that this Neptune is not quite engaged yet, but it is coming into being. So it is very soon that Neptune, that alignment is going to be perfected, and that they're talking about movement is slowly unwinding. So when we look up the word unwinding, it's movement that is slowing down to relax its coiled tension. And that would apply to the orbits. So it sounds like things are starting to slow down. It's the beginning of this shift of the orbit. And the perpetration is to bring about and moving into this existence and this shift.
Remember, this is a slow process, because the question was asked, is the reconnection with the higher self going to happen likely this year? And it said it will be the beginning, the very beginning, but it is a slow process. It took thousands of years to get where we are now. So it's not going to take thousands of years to open the self.
Tens of thousands of years.
It has begun, and it'll go a lot quicker this time, because man has to have the understanding and knowledge. Otherwise, it'll go into non-existence.
What will go into non-existence?
Humankind.
So we have to be pushed forward, because that is the intention of God, the creator, is for us to evolve. There is no separation between evolution and creation of humanity. Humanity was created to evolve. And this is just one physical expression of who we are as a soul, because we come here to learn, and we are in an experiential learning field, meaning we are learning through our experiences.
And remember, Neptune is a cursor of knowledge for all to begin who want to achieve this understanding.
So when we look up the word cursor, it can mean courier, or a means of carrying urgent news, information, messages, reports, that sort of thing. So it holds and carries that knowledge for all who want to begin to understand. And again, for those who are not ready yet, it's not going to have any impact.
Yeah, and we've asked a question ourselves, or people have asked a question to us. Well, how do we access this knowledge? Over and over, they keep asking that question, and we keep trying to explain it, but
the answer was through self-understanding. And here they're talking about understanding ourselves at the soul level.
You have to rely on yourself to understand who you are, why you're here.
And this only really happens when you are meditating. So it's so important for us to set up even 10 or 15 minutes a day, if that's all you have, to meditate and to really tune into who you are, and does your decision making resonate with who you are. And so when we are trying to portray ourselves in a manner that is not true to our nature, that is not aligning to who we are. If we want to portray ourselves as more than what we are or something other than what we are, we're not being true to ourselves. So that is another aspect of really getting to know who you are, is the decisions you make, the clothes you wear, or anything that you choose for your path in your life. Does it resonate to the core of who you are, or are you just doing it for another reason, including for someone else?
So the reliance on self is through consideration and consideration event of knowledge to be taken by you. Through the consideration of understanding of all that happens around you and exterior to you.
And actually, I was, that's the way I thought it meant initially. So then I came back with the next question: is the exterior the sphere around us? And they clarified that and said it's outside of the
it's
sphere.
More than just around us.
It includes everything out in the universe and outside of ourselves. So this self-penetration of thought is when the higher self starts to send thoughts to the physical self, and it starts to become, as the higher self is taking control of our spiritual path, it starts to become our own mentor. And so our soul becomes our own mentor to the physical self, and starts to you start to have thoughts of revelations, things that totally make sense that you never thought of before, like the light bulb coming on. You may hear some chatter in your mind, like somebody talking to you.
Direction is what it really is.
Well, you want to listen.
You understand, but you have to listen.
Yes.
To it, and you don't have to be schizophrenic. You just listen to it and make notation about it.
On the subject of schizophrenia, though, there is a word of caution there, in that you don't want to let this chatter in your head go on continuously. No. You have to turn it on, turn it off, because it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. And what we've been told by our spiritual guides is that if you don't shut it off, it can be overload to the neurological circuitry of our bodies and lead to schizophrenia, because it just plays constantly and it just fries the brain, basically.
Yeah. So with that, the potential exists for a reconnection with a higher self, beginning this, and I accentuate the word beginning, this year. Planetary alignments allows this to happen. We've talked about that, how they align and open the parameters for this. Nibiru is an orbital corrective.
Course corrector.
Course corrector.
Of the orbit.
Right. It begins the process for completion, opens the parameters for awakening the inner self. And through chaos and turmoil, it'll accomplish this.
So if you think we've got turmoil now,
wait,
as we've got a lot to go through yet, but there is fantastic things on the horizon. So we have to just be able to manage how we get from here to there and in one piece, so to speak.
Yeah, the Neptune is a Q. So the Q
It's in Q.
It's in Q. So awaiting the alignment of the other planets to get where they need to get this process moving.
Kind of all that fine tuning.
So the alignment will release the energy, or the alignment will release the energy within the system when it lines up to allow the higher self to regain control. Now, people are saying, well, I don't want my higher self to regain control. Well,
that's the ego.
That's the ego allowing that.
And we really
want to know understanding, and the self will know that they let this go, and they will begin to know their self.
Yeah, there's been a lot of spiritual teachings about the ego and letting the ego, pushing the ego to the side. There is reason why we have the ego, but at this point, we don't want it to dominate our spiritual path and our learning.
If you really want to have the knowledge that you need.
Yeah, and to move into this next cycle of higher spiritual learning, which is going to be really awesome. So the ego needs to be pushed aside to allow the higher self to start communicating with our physical self and being the mentor, being the teacher, downloading information we've learned in the past.
Knowledge of the universe.
Right, and to be able to tap into the neuro net, which carries this other information that is a part of the universal consciousness.
Remember, you cannot see the neural net.
Right. It's in the atmosphere, and it is charged strings of charged plasma. And that is what carries
everything. Yeah.
And it connects everything. Yes.
So we access higher knowledge and understanding of the outer world through the penetration and understanding of the inner self. When you understand your inner self, it's unbelievable the knowledge that you can access. You will be.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. That's all I can say.
He can do it. I'm not there yet, but I tell you what, it is really amazing how your life changes.
It will enhance your desire to learn more.
Yes.
Yeah. So Neptune is moving out of Pisces, and Renee can explain. I'm not in astrology. She is somewhat learning, but it moves out of Pisces into Aries.
So, no, I am not an astrologer. I depend on our friend Carol to help me understand some of this. And it's still Greek to me, but our guides are giving us this information. And so, in the past, I didn't really give much credence to astrology. It was more a form of entertainment for me. But now we're starting to realize, as we're getting these lessons, that this is real. And we start to realize, when there are several events that happen all in the same time frame, and they're similar events. Okay, what is going on here astrologically that is opening parameters for these events to happen, because they're all happening in threes or something like that. So then I start paying attention. So as I understand, and if you're an astrologer, leave your comments below and your insights, because they are greatly appreciated, since we are totally newbies to astrology. But so, as I understand, we are moving out of one cycle and into another, and Aries is the forerunner to this new cycle. It is the leadership, the pushing forward, and starting that momentum to go. And it's leading the way of our transformation. So we're moving from behaving and reacting subconsciously, and we're moving gradually into a more conscious way of living, and hopefully in the future a super consciousness and a higher purpose. So Pisces was setting all that up, as far as our spirituality and getting us ready for this. And now as we move into Aries, which is the beginning of the cycle, and the forerunner, is going to set up the parameters for this to take hold and move us into this new cycle of learning. So very exciting things to look forward to. And I can say from our own experience, as Kent has meditated and he's been able to channel this information, we have had a very serendipitous life where things that have happened to us are beyond explaining, and people don't understand really where we've been because they have never lived that kind of life. But this is real, and people in the future are going to be able to do this too. So to be able to channel, to be able to be intuitive, to be able to access information.
First, you would have to write down your dreams on a pad and try to interpret it, but learn how to do meditation. And all this is not going to come just automatically because you're here. That's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Have the desire to understand and to gain more knowledge.
And even within the universe, they expect us to put the work forward.
Yeah,
they're not going to give it to us on a silver spoon.
Nobody else is going to do the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put the work effort in yourself to gain this understanding and knowledge.
And we haven't been fed off of a silver spoon either. We've had to do a lot of our own deciphering and looking up things in the dictionary and doing research, because they only give you a little bit and they expect you to do the work. So don't expect this information and this moving into this next cycle to just occur osmotically, because it doesn't. You have to put the work in to get those type of results.
With that, join us on our journey to gaining knowledge and understanding. We invite you to join us on this long journey, but it'll be exciting as we get closer to the end.
It'll get real exciting, and be prepared that things are going to get tough. We have to ride that out as the old system that was created out of the old way of thinking crumbles. We have to put on our thinking caps and be creative in designing something new that works better and is less corruptible. So thank you for joining us, and peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. And if you want to know more, we have 2 books on Amazon under the Augmentation of Man series. And the first one, you want to get the 2nd edition, A Study in Renaissance, and that's more about our spiritual path. And the second is The Acquiescence of Humanity, which is more about the history of humanity and where we're going. Both talk about the earth changes and the changes genetically and otherwise coming for humanity. So, and then they have the original language plus our translations and a glossary to help with the words, so that you can read it for yourself and decide if you agree with our translation, or you can make up your mind for yourself if you see it a different way.
Yeah, we welcome your comments.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a great day.